So people often ask me, what do you do for a living? And when I tell them I make impact documentaries, the following question, it's inevitable, almost always is the same. Well, what's that? And the second one is, well, how's that different from regular documentaries? At first I didn't have a great answer. I just said something about inspiring change or engaging audiences for impact. But if I was honest with you, I was basically winging it. So what's the difference between a traditional doc and an impact doc? Well, traditional documentaries are about informing, entertaining, and educating audiences. They dive deep into a topic and they give a new perspective, and they leave you with a better understanding of the world. Impact documentaries, on the other hand, these are a different beast. They don't just tell us a story, they invite the audience to become part of it. These films are designed to inspire action, and most of the time they come with an impact campaign. This is a fancy term for there's a plan to take the energy from the film and create something tangible. So it sounds so great, taking the energy from the film and turning it into something tangible. Here's the catch. When I first got into impact docs, I thought I could have it all. I wanted to make films that won awards and made money and created real change and built my career, and of course got picked up by a big distributor so that they could handle all the heavy lifting. But my unicorn dream disappeared after we finished our first movie, and I learned that I had to pick a path. I had to sit down and ask myself one big question. What do you really want from doc filmmaking? And it wasn't easy to answer, but eventually I realized that what mattered most to me was telling good stories that created measurable change. And I wanted to be able to make movies and do this basically for a living. Sure, I wanted recognition. I'm no different than anybody else. I want to win awards, and it feels amazing. It's proof that your work resonates with people. But if I had a choice, I'd rather have an audience that does something because of our films than films that just people watch and move on. So this is something that I think every filmmaker and documentary filmmaker should consider, and especially in impact docs. There are 5 main goals that you can aim for when you make a movie. You can make money, you can build an audience, you can build a name for yourself, you can create change, or you can get the film seen by as many people as possible. But here's the truth, that very few people tell filmmakers like me when I was younger, you can't have all 5 equally. You have to pick 2 that matter the most to you. And for me, it was creating change and building a reputation so I could keep making movies that I actually cared about. Once I made those decisions, everything else in my filmmaking career that I was approaching, it just shifted. I learned a big lesson. With impact docs, everything is about the audience, who they are, what they need, and how can I make it easy for them to take action. It wasn't about just giving them entertainment, it was about serving them in other ways. I'll be honest with you, at first, I just hated this part. I wanted to make the film, sell it, and let everyone else take care of the rest. But here's the truth. No one cared about our films as much as we did. If you want to make a difference, you have to, take an active role in the distribution of your films. And quite frankly, with the marketing stuff that nobody's paying for, it's kind of on us as filmmakers to actually market our films. So it's kind of come full circle. It's probably now the most rewarding part. I just didn't realize how much I would enjoy connecting with real people until I started doing it and I started seeing audiences engage with our films, but then you actually were in relationship with them. So let me switch gears for a second and let's talk about something that every filmmaker I know worries about. And this might come left field, but I want to talk about funding and how it relates to impact docs versus traditional docs. And this might sound crazy, but it's a big difference between the 2 styles of films. What surprised me was there was actually more funding in impact docs than traditional ones. And I didn't realize that till after I got into it and started making them and realizing it was easier to raise money for those type of documentaries than it was the other ones we used to make. Instead of chasing investors or studios, our films are often backed by people or organizations who care deeply about the issues in the film. For them, it's not about profit, it's about purpose and creating a much healthier environment for making movies. So that was a big surprise for me. Now let's talk about distribution for impact docs versus traditional docs. I used to think that getting a Netflix deal was the ultimate win, but now I've learned that reaching the right audience is so much more important than reaching the biggest one. Sometimes this means distribution directly to the audience, and honestly, this has been more successful for us than some of the deals we've done with some of the big distributors, both financially and creating impact. So at the end of the day, the biggest difference between traditional docs and impact docs is the why. Traditional docs focuses on storytelling and insight, while impact docs focus very strategically on moving the audience from viewer to participant. For me, that was what I really have always wanted to do, is using storytelling to create real change. And honestly, the truth of this whole thing is it's probably changed me more than anybody else. So what kind of stories do you want to tell? Are you drawn to educational films and entertainment films or Netflix style traditional films? Or do you see yourself wanting to make impact docs? There's no wrong answer. Both have their place. I'm very fascinated with what people are making. But if you're curious about learning more about impact docs, and you can take a look, we've created this thing called Doc Film School that kind of breaks down how to make impact docs, not just how to make documentaries, but specifically how to make impact docs. But it's a cool community of people that are making films together in that model. At the end of the day, whether it's impact docs or traditional docs, it's all about telling stories, and that's what matters to me and I think you. So let's keep doing that. So we'll see you in the next video.